to be the best to ever play the game has motivated me.
We're counting down the NBA's best with our first take primetime players.
That's pretty interesting.
Each day, we'll reveal and debate a player from our top 15 rankings as voted on by our ESPN NBA experts. Who's in? Who's out? Who's number one? You'll know I'll have something to say about all this. First Take NBA primetime players, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN.
All right, you just heard Stephen A. Let's get started here on our primetime players, the top 15. We start with number 15 today. I read this question before the break, our little trivia. Since 2014, this player has been named All-NBA Defensive Team 4 times. Only Kawhi Leonard and Draymond Green have more during that span. Who is that person? Take a listen.
The 15th player on our First Take NBA primetime players ranking is Jimmy Butler.
Pass intercepted by Jimmy Butler. Two-hand jam.
A 5-time All-Star, Jimmy Butler's leading the Heat in points per game, assists per game, and steals per game this season.
Jimmy Butler is everywhere right now. Are you kidding me? Taking over this game.
Over the last 5 seasons, Butler ranks 6th in the NBA in steals and also won the 2014-15 NBA Most Improved Player Award.
Oh, that was nasty.
Player number 15, Heat forward, Jimmy Butler.
Number 15, it's Jimmy Buckets. Look who's here. Jalen Rose joining the conversation. A big day for you, Jalen. We'll get into that in just a minute. Good to have you with us. But, Max, I'm going to start with you. Is Jimmy Butler the most underrated player in the NBA?
No. And by the way, I have him 13th there. He came in 15th. So I think he is a little underrated because he's proven himself a team centerpiece kind of player. When there are a few questions about that through the years, there's something about him. He wants it more than others, and he's maximized what he's got. So he's a great player. He's a little bit underrated, I agree. But, I mean, Adebayo, you could argue, is more underrated on the same team. Or Seth Curry, because he's Steph's brother. Seth Curry, boy, he shoots 45% from 3. What would happen if he takes more shots? Every year he gets more shots. The percentage doesn't change. He takes over 5 threes a game now, still shooting 45% from 3. Ridiculous. But I would actually say the most underrated player in the NBA is Kawhi Leonard, who, I'm the only person who has him number 1 because he didn't show up that way as the best player because his talent on the offensive end doesn't look transcendent like KD's or LeBron's does. But I got him as the best, and I think he's the most underrated as a result. No one else seems to have him there.
You have Kawhi Leonard as the best. He is universally recognized as a top 3 or 4 player on the planet Earth, and you associate the word underrated with him? That is insane. Yep. That's insane. I'm sorry, Max. That's just insane. But I will say this. Jimmy Butler, to me, I like it. I got to think about it a little bit more, Jalen, when I think about Bogdanovich. I think about the year Chris Paul had, because we're really talking about the 2019-2020 season. I got to think about Chris Paul. I got to think about Bogdanovich. I got to think about Chris Middleton and these boys. I got to think about all of that. But I'm going to go with Jimmy Butler. Here's why. It's not just the fact that he's averaging 20 points a game on just 13 shots, shooting about 45% from the field. It's not even the fact that he's the leading scorer on a team where 6 or 7 different dudes are averaging in double figures. What really resonates with me is that, Jalen, the Miami Heat without Jimmy Butler the year before with 39 and 43. Jimmy Butler is they're 41 and 24 before the season is suspended. That is a 21-game turnaround, okay, with about 15 games to go. I mean, that's a drastic change. And talking to the players the way that I have, the way they raved about Jimmy Butler, they talked about his leadership. They talked about his willingness not only to hold people accountable, but to be accountable. Jimmy Butler had taken a game or 2 off, and Bam Adebayo walked into the line. What the hell you doing? We need you, bro. You playing tonight? You playing? Jimmy Butler invites that kind of scrutiny on himself because he wants the license to give it to others. And he wants others to hold everybody accountable so you have a team that's accountable. When we were talking about the Philadelphia 76ers, and if you remember that time when Philadelphia got blown out by Miami, Jalen, and everybody left to go home, but Ben Simmons had stayed behind in South Beach. If you know anything about Jimmy Butler, he had said something about that. When he was in Chicago, okay, he had an issue because he thought that the coach was a little bit too light on the players, okay? And then when he was in Minnesota, he felt like Tom Thibodeau had gotten a little bit softer than he was when he was in Chicago. So that kind of leadership, Max and Jalen, is what I'm alluding to, that he's infused in the Miami Heat, that numbers
Where do you have Butler
don't
on your
tell
list,
that
Stephen
story.
A?
That's what. I haven't, honestly, Max, in fairness, I don't know the answer. I haven't even thought about it. I'm just answering the question about underrated, but
Well, I hear you. My point
honestly
is,
don't have that
he's
answer.
15. Yeah.
Max,
he's
why don't we get
Jalen, he's
Jalen in
15
here?
on the list.
Go ahead, Jalen.
I think he deserves a little higher, like 13, maybe top 10, you could argue, but that's what I mean by
I
not
haven't thought
most
about it,
underrated.
Max.